There we go.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Yo, what's happening? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's an honor to be on here with you guys.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
It's an honor to be here with Rock the Bells Radio. Thank you.
Rock the bells, baby.
Rock the bells. Yes, sir.
Rock the bells and raising hell.
So everyone,
yo, shout out to LL.
Yep. Hello, Cool J. Yes, sir. Rock the bells. I'm Kiani Shabazz. I'm on here with King DMC of Run DMC. And I'm here with Big K.O. All right, they're promoting their new single, Ghetto Metal.
Yes.
It's a merge of heavy metal, funk, hip-hop. It encapsulates a whole bunch of different things, and it's for the culture. You know, we have the Kings on here. So let's get right into it. And first, I want to start with K.O., Big K.O. For people that don't know, can you just tell us what your background is, who you are, and what you do?
I'm a producer slash guitar player, but now I'm switching it around. I'm a guitar player slash producer. I came up in New York listening to the Kings of Rock, and that influenced my sound. And I was a DJ early on, and I started producing. I worked with 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying soundtrack. I worked with G-Unit and Dipset. But then, I became in-house producer for my man Proof from D12, rest in peace. So, and it was Proof that influenced me to like, yo, stick with the guitar bass tracks, stop sampling, play guitar, because he told me I had a knack for it. And so right after I started working with him, he got murdered. So then I was like, you know what? I'm done with hip hop for a minute. Let me go and try to perfect my craft. And while I was doing that, I linked up with the King of Rock. And now we're sitting here, Ghetto Metal.
That's beautiful. And in a statement, you actually said that at 10 years old, you were inspired by your Public Enemies, Run DMC, Anthrax, just that heavy metal, hip hop, you're inspired by both worlds. So can you tell me what you're passionate about blending genres and kind of making genreless music?
Well, it's kind of crazy because, like, now that I'm trying to stay away from sampling, although I love it. So I sample mentally. I sample if I see something or if I feel something from an era, I'm able to capture it. And instead of sampling it, my mind samples it, then I'm able to play it. And it took a long time for me to get to that point. But yeah, you're absolutely right. When I was 10 years old, I picked up the guitar because of Rockbox and the legendary Eddie Martinez that played on that. And
Salute to Eddie Martinez.
Salute. And the impact that record had leading into King of Rock. I was around 10 years old when King of Rock dropped. And, the statements that they were making, stepping into the Rock Hall Museum. There was no Rock Hall Museum when they did that, which is crazy.
Right.
That was 1985, so they was being prophetic, and just also the resistance that the rock world kind of felt to hip hop in the beginning. Run DMC kicked that door down in that video. It was symbolic.
Yes.
Boom, we're here now. It is what it is. So I was influenced not only, of course, by the sound, but by everything. I didn't want to look like rock dudes on TV. I wanted to look like the King of Rock.
Yeah.
But I still wanted to have that hardcore sound, though. But yeah, Run DMC influenced me musically and, of course, culturally and stylistic wise.
Right. And so DMC, like with that being said, I want to ask you, I know you talked about this a lot of times, but now for the young kids that don't know, when you kick down the doors with Walk This Way with Aerosmith, that's hip hop was a new phenomenon at the time. And you guys were just still proving yourself as, yes, we are.
They didn't believe in us. They didn't believe in the culture.
Right. So, when you did kick down those doors, and now you look until now in 2022, every hip hop artist is bending genres in some type of way with the punk rock influence. You go to a hip hop show now, it's indistinguishable from a rock show, So
right.
Tell me about that impact that you left and how you feel about, the legacy that is brought.
Well, for all the young people in the new generation and the old generation too, this is Rock the Bells, so we got to keep it real. Run DMC ain't really the pioneers. We might be the pioneers when it comes to recorded hip-hop music. Hip-hop has a huge problem of judging greatness from the people that made records. We can't start with the people that made records to judge greatness. So what, you were successful in the music business. That's part of your greatness, but that doesn't determine what greatness is in an equilibrium across the board as it pertains to this culture. The real pioneers and legends, I might be a recording music hip-hop legend, but the true only pioneers and legends in our culture is everybody before Rapper's Delight.
Right.
So if the young people that's on here don't know what happened before Rapper's Delight, I suggest you go try to listen to live performances on YouTube of what hip-hop is. I don't speak in past tense. So that being said, it was Bambaataa, Jazzy J, Red Alert, Charlie Chase, Grandmaster Flash, Kool Herc, the Grand Wizard Theodore, DJ AJ, all the DJs who created hip-hop in the streets of New York to start this culture in those record crates while they were searching for music for the MC who rapped. Not a rapper, the MC who rapped. They had to have jazz in there because it was always a instrumental or a jazz breakbeat on a jazz song. They had James Brown in there because James Brown always let the funky drummer break down so the MC could run his mouth. There was disco. When disco died, all you young people and old people, your mothers, fathers, and grandmothers and grandfathers know when disco died, another man's trash is another man's treasure. We took them disco songs because they had a lot of funky bass line breaks on there, R&B, and all of these records. But in the crates of a DJ from New York City who created this culture were rock songs. So it wasn't nothing new to the culture. It was new to the recording industry when Run DMC, before Walk This Way, there was Rockbox. And then it was King of Rock, and Walk This Way would have never happened if it wasn't for the greatest hip-hop producer ever to live, who the world doesn't know about, but it was a man named Larry Smith who did Rockbox in '84. Then we did King of Rock in '85. Then we did Walk This Way in '86. Yes. So to answer your question, I didn't even know that Walk This Way had singing on it. Because when the DJ, to me and Run, and to any MC, to the DJ was, yo, get the album with the toys on it and play number 4. Okay. The DJs would scratch the titles off. But long story short, it was records by Aerosmith. It was records by Queen. It was records by Rush. It was records by Sharon. It was records by the Rolling Stone. And
Billy Squier.
Billy Squier's Big Beat that inspired us when we came into the game. The whole solution for Run DMC just to get in. We looked at what everybody was doing and just did one little thing different. We did a rock rap song. Yeah. And when we did that, because we was in the music business, of course it was going to be a shocking thing. And I was always motivated, inspired, and given inspiration. You know, when I was growing up, it was rock songs that I liked and folk rock because I was in the comic books. And R&B was cool, and jazz was cool, and funk was cool. But a rock drum, like the drums K.O put on our new record, Ghetto Metal, they were like superheroes because the rock drums was hard, and you had the loud rock and roll guitar. So it was a power, it was a superhero-inspired power move for me. So the things that I like to hear on those early performances is of the Cold Crush and the Treacherous 3 and the Zulu Nation and the Jazzy 5 MCs and the Crash Crew. When I start making records, I'm going to do what they used to do in the streets of New York. So it was a combination, and a collaboration of all the genres that existed artistically, but for hip-hop to do it, of course, was going to wake some people up. You know, I didn't want to be like Melly Mel and Cool Mo D and Grandmaster Cash. I was pretending to be them. But in order to be up on their level, you know, my lyrics was all right. But I needed a sound that was going to make Cash and Mel and Mo D say, yo, I like this little guy from Queens.
Right. And so, you know, this, like, time in hip-hop, like I said, it exploded into a whole nother phenomenon.
Everything. So, I mean, from West Coast down south, globally.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, you know, people say hip-hop is a global phenomenon now. Look, I started in this music business touring and making records in '84. Yo, hip-hop was big back then, too. Let's not think it's a new thing. It was always big globally. It's just now it's getting the attention it rightfully deserves.
Right, exactly. And so now you're doing it 30 years later, and you're still making the great music, and you're doing it again with Ghetto Metal, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about the new single.
All right,
how'd it come about?
I'll pass it to K.O., but, you know, K.O. always made some very good music. And at the end of the day, it's all about making great music. You know what I'm saying? And there's a billion young people out there now. I'm talking about a new generation of producers and writers and songwriters and DJs and rappers and stuff like that who are already great. So if any of them listening, or if there's people on here who know people on their block down south around the corner you went to school with, let those people know that they're great already. But K.O., he was always approaching me with, you know, songs, because that's what he do. He's a producer. And this was just unique because he approached me and said, yo, D, this is a tribute and a celebration of what Rockbox and King of Rock did. And I was like, what you talking about? You know, it put us in the stadiums like rock stars. You know, you could talk to all of these artists from Limp Bizkit to Rage Against the Machine to Cypress Hill to Korn. I'm talking about legitimate rock bands. You know, my friends like Dave Navarro, my friends like Sebastian Bach, they all say, yo, man, what y'all did, man, we was doing it, and y'all inspired us to take this rock thing to the another level because it was all a combination of just creativity. So K.O. just called me up and said, yo, D, I want to do a record that's going to celebrate and be a tribute and a salute to what Rockbox, King of Rock, and Walk This Way started. So he sends me the track, and, you know, typically it's, you know, people send tracks like Rockbox and King of Rock and Walk This Way, and it'll sound like that, like they got it from there. But K.O., he took it a step better. He gave me the crazy ass sound that I got it from. So it was like new to me. So, you know, hip hop, when you say old school is not a time period. Old school is a consciousness of how to present yourself artistically and creativity. So my ass sitting here at 57 years old with this track and this sound that was also a tribute to bands like Van Halen and Queen and Led Zeppelin, it was new to me. So K.O. gave me a sound at 57 years old that made me feel 12 years old again in my bedroom writing rhymes to Billy Squire's Big Beat. And that was the thing that K.O. sent me the song. I had the lyrics done in 5 minutes. And then my lyrics was laid in 5 other days. And I said, yo, K.O., I did my job because you did so. I hope it's to your liking, but it's up to you to take it to the next level. And he just did what a Rick Rubin or a Dr. Dre or a DJ Premier would do.
Wow.
Because this is Rock the Bells. So let me, you know, the inspiration, you know, he's a musician. He's a guitar player. He knows music. But he's also, like I started out as a DJ, and he also takes lessons from the greats, such as a Dre, Rick Rubin, Larry Smith, and DJ Premier.
And you know what? Before you go ahead, I just want to say at Rock the Bells, we try to stay away from the term old school. You know, we don't want to put a time period on it. So instead, we say classic. You know, because what it really is classic, timeless.
That's funny. Music. That's funny. When I go on classic rock stations, I let it be known. Classic doesn't mean old. It means better than everything that came after it for eternity. So we are eternal artists. You know what I'm saying? We are eternal artists. The day that you start, to all you people out there, if you start at 6, if you start at 8, if you start at 18, or I know a lot of artists in the business, hip hop, I know a lot of artists in rock, country. Some of them don't get a hit record till they 27 to 34 years old. So let's not get it twisted, y'all. There's no time limit to our presence in presentation of our culture. But right now, DMC, 57 years old, is big, bad, and bold, and might put a foot in the behind of that young Daryl McDaniels guy, Easy D, before he was encouraged to make rock box. But K.O. can tell you the essence and purpose of the song.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was taking it back to Larry Smith. I can't stress enough how much he influenced me. And if it wasn't for Larry Smith, so this weekend I was home chilling, getting ready for this interview. And I was watching LL getting inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Shout out.
And every time that, every time I walked in the living room, it was D on TV talking about L and also talking about other groups that are being inducted. And it kept blowing my mind. But it made me think to Larry Smith. D said something in the induction ceremony where LL was in the audience at the Ritz watching Run DMC, a Run DMC show early, like 84, 85.
Yeah.
Y'all only had, how many singles did y'all have at that point? Maybe like 3 or 4 singles? 4 singles?
3 or 4 singles. Yeah.
All produced by who? Larry Smith. I mean, he is the catalyst for all this shit. So Ghetto Metal is, first of all, a tribute, of course, to the classic sound of Run DMC, but it's a tribute to the man, Larry Smith. Larry put me inside the Cadillac. The chauffeur drove off. I'm still going. I'm still going. And 40 plus years, D is still going. So for me, as a producer, I had to pay homage to Larry Smith, Eddie Martinez,
shout out Eddie
Rick
Martinez.
Rubin, absolutely, and also Davey DMX. Because
Davey D, you're all the best. Rock this beat because it is so fresh.
Yo, I mean, because like Davey DMX did those hardcore rock tracks too. Tougher Than Leather, produced by who? Davey DMX. So as a young DJ, as a young dude, some people say they're Run DMC fans, and yes, very huge Run DMC, but I was a DJ reading the credits on the record.
Yeah.
Like,
everybody,
oh, shit, Larry Smith, who engineered that? It was recorded where? Like, oh shit. Like,
you wanted to know who mastering, who's Herb Powers, and
how did it sound like that?
Significance, yes. Everybody has significance,
and that's something that's lost now, and that's also what we're trying to bring back with Ghetto Metal. Shit that you could touch, merchandise that you could touch, records and vinyl, shit that you can, you know, things that you can touch and feel. Because I wanted to go back to how I felt, like how D said he felt like a 12-year-old. I felt like a 10-year-old making this in 1985. Because I've told the story again and again, and I have to tell it to the the Rock the Bell audience. I started digging rock music because I was waiting for the 3 black artists that MTV played at the time, which were Michael Jackson, Prince, and Run DMC. And so, like, waiting for those 3 videos, in particular, Run DMC video, all day, I was exposed to other forms of music, rock bands that I winded up really loving. But when King of Rock came out, that was the mind-blowing shit, because that was a huge budget video. I think first time I saw it was on New York Hot Tracks.
Hot Tracks. That's classic.
For all the classic fans, I was one of those kids staying up late watching Video Music Box.
Oh,
shout out to Ralph McDaniels.
Look, I was DMC, and I didn't care about me. I was a fan of everything that was going on. Yep.
Sure. So I tried to capture all of that feeling in this record. And
they caught it. And so me, speaking on Charlie Chase and the Grand Wizard Theodore, Grand Mixer DXT, all of those DJs and stuff like that, I had to give them a presence and a place in there, because they were the ones that educated, you know, me as an MC on who was making this music. So we understand that we utilize a lot of great music that was made. Like Cass said, hip-hop didn't create anything. We just recreated everything. So on the records, without having to be a boring history teacher, I shout out Van Halen. I shout out Slash. I shout out Jimi Hendrix. So all of our generations and all of our cultures, rock, hip-hop, punk rock, R&B collectively, all that we do, we got to all know that without each other, there is nothing. Yeah. So I had to give props. Shout out to Eddie Van Halen. Shout out to Van Halen. Shout out to the great Jimi Hendrix. Shout out to Aerosmith, Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, and the rest of the band for letting us do the record. So we just wanted to create the one, I kind of call this record the God particle. Like that thing, that big facility they built, and they launching the protons around this thing so they could see if the Big Bang can happen. Or the Big Bang of hip hop and rock and roll. That, let me shout out to the Bomb Squad, Chuck D, and Flavor Flav, and Terminator X, and Professor Griff. When they heard the Rock Box, King of Rock sound, and then they saw what we did with Walk This Way, they created the Bomb Squad. Because they wanted that big sound. And they didn't bite us. They took an inspiration from us and created that sound. So everything that we present in our hip-hop cultures that is representative of us telling the universe, not just the world, that we rock the bells, everything that each person gives builds to the next level. Right. So it's like K.O. said, I'm fortunate I'm still here. But everything that I'm doing right now, I'm still, Larry, I know you're looking down on me from heaven with angels on your back, sitting there with Jay and B.I.G. and Tupac laughing at us right now. But I'm still in the caddy, Larry.
That's a blessing.
Wait, hold up. Yeah. Still in the caddy with Rock the Bells.
Yes, sir.
By LL on the radio.
Cool J. Yes,
so
sir.
they got to be proud of us.
Hey, and you know what? And we're going to bring it full circle and work with Eddie Martinez again. We got something special.
Yeah, we got another.
We got something special coming. Yes, Eddie Martinez, and we're going to get him back on the Cadillac. Except it's going to be a 2022 Escalade.
So I want to rewind a little bit because you said something, Big K.O., that caught me. So you're talking about, you got the merch, you guys are dropping the vinyls, something that is kind of lost nowadays in the DSP era, streaming, whatever. We don't have that tangibility anymore where you could go back and hold a record. Back in the day, you buy a new record, you rip off the packaging, read the credits, going through the booklet. It's I got the Nas record right here.
Yes, look how great that is.
You see, because that's just something that's just part of the culture that I don't want to let go of. So can you tell me about making everything tangible, releasing the record, making it classic, timeless?
Well, the whole thing is when you work with an artist like D, you have to listen. Like, don't talk a lot, listen. So, and also when you present things to him, things that he likes, put it aside. Because I showed him like the logo and everything that I had envisioned, maybe before the record or around the same time.
Before the record.
And he was like, yo, I really, really like that. So then now, boom, I have a visual to go off of. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at, I don't know if you can see it up close, but the Ghetto Metal symbol is a double-headed eagle with a crown on top. The two eagles represent me and D. And the crown on top represents him being the king. And, there's a line from a record that y'all rock all the time, one of my favorite Run DMC records, Run's House, where DMC says, hard rock, hard
hitting,
hip-hop, hardcore. And that's what Ghetto Metal is all about. So when I was designing the merch along with my managers, Fred and Brandy from Ghetto Metal LLC and Zamora Customs, Danielle and Ivan, we just wanted to make it like, yo, what does a tour shirt feel like? I went back and I looked at Raising Hell tour shirts from 85 and Together Forever tour shirts from 87. And I tried to incorporate that, but make it new. Like what D said is important. Like, I can play I can play Walk This Way, Rock Box, and all that. But I wanted to present him with a new classic, something that Rock the Bells can blast off on, like how you blast off on that banging Stetson Sonic record. I love that record so much. Rock the body, body, body. I wanted to give D a new classic.
Right.
All
so,
that.
yo, K.O., it's already on my show list. So now, for the rest of eternity, even when I'm with the DJ, when I'm not with my live band, it's going to be Rock Box, Ghetto Metal, King of Rock, and then I'm closing with War.
Oh.
It's part of it. It existed even before it existed.
Yo,
just like
that goes back to goes back to the comic book vibe. And again, I gotta say, like, DMC has an amazing comic book. DMC issue number 3 coming up, right, D?
Number 4.
Issue number 4 of DMC coming out. But another link that we have besides being light-skinned dudes from Queens is that we love comic books. You know what I'm saying? Like, so throughout making this record, I was reading comic books and I was sending D, and he was at Comic Cons, and I was like, yo, my sense of imagination soared, and it brought me back to being 10 years old. So that's why this record, if you listen to it, and also I didn't want to catch any elements that you may have heard before that everyone samples for Run DMC. You've heard, you know, certain samples a million times, and you should keep hearing them. But on D's record, you know, I wanted to present something new. So we have snippets of Run DMC at Live Aid, like the outro, the intro, the very first line of Ghetto Metal is Rick Rubin, the line from Crush Groove, where Rick hits the tape and says, "You ready, Kurt?" And then Kurt says, "Yo, let's do it one more time, and I want rock and roll, baby."
Yes.
Boom, Ghetto
Shout
Metal
out to Kurtis Blow.
So shout out to Kurtis.
Shout out to Kurtis Blow. This is Rock the Bells Radio. Here's a new tradition for the rest of all of our lives, and for people in my generation and people from the generation before me and the people in the new generation. There's a new Christmas tradition from now on for the rest of our existence. You have to play Kurtis Blow's Christmas Rappin' first. Then you play Run DMC's Christmas in Hollis. Y'all get in the habit of just playing Christmas in Hollis, and then the people that know, like Rock the Bells, will be playing Kurtis Blow Christmas Rappin', and people will go, "What's that?" From now on, in households, this is a tradition that will go deeper than before the dinosaurs. Together, from now on, hip-hop culture, white, black, Puerto Rican, all my Jewish friends that ain't even Christians but love Christmas in Hollis, all my Muslim friends, the tradition now started here on Rock the Bells Radio in 2021 is you have to play Kurtis Blow's Christmas Rappin', and then you play Run DMC's Christmas in Hollis from now on.
You heard it here first. Heard it here first.
Christmas rap. Yeah, because Christmas Rappin' was the first single on a major label. That Christmas Rappin' came out before the breaks, right?
No. Came out simultaneously after, but Christmas Rappin' is the first Christmas song. People, don't you give me. And hold on, here's what's so dope about this being Rock the Bells. Kurtis Blow made this Christmas song that was just phenomenal. And then hip-hop is so incredible that Kurtis Blow's song, Christmas Rappin', became one of the best breaks to freestyle over. So people don't understand. They only play my Christmas in Hollis on Christmas. When Kurtis Blow's Christmas Rappin' came out, that record played everywhere, every day. Everybody got to put a verse on that record. So shout out to Kurtis Blow for simultaneously celebrating a holiday and being one of the premier records for DJs to dig out the crates.
And if I'm not mistaken, Orange Crush was that band on Christmas Rappin'.
And Larry Smith was in the Orange Crush band.
And Larry Smith was the bass player in Orange Crush. So like I said, how me and D do it, everything is like a timeline that just goes on and on. I don't know if you're familiar with Marvel Comics, but it's a sacred timeline. And it's like we're in it, and it's like I have to, Ghetto Metal, I had to represent Larry Smith, Rick Rubin, Davey DMX, Eddie Martinez, Run, D, J,
Master J,
Hurricane. Let me tell you a little something. I hope Hurricane is tuned in because we follow each other on Instagram. right now. I learned how to be a b-boy, the most illest b-boy from Jam Master Jay and Hurricane
and DJ Hurricane.